A question of you, Aeri. I have heard something of your people, the Averiel, hunted to near extinction by mages merely for the use of their wings. How is it that you are not more outraged about this?
I think it is a terrible thing, Anomen, but what can I do about it?
Valigar, your step seems of particular weight this day. Perhaps it is your thoughts which burden you so?
My thoughts are indeed dark ones, Anomen, and they are also mine alone.
Sir Keldorn, as an initiate of the Order, I heard many a story of your prowess and courage. At one point, Sir Cassius made reference to your heroism on the Giant's Plain. He stopped abruptly, and, with a dark look, would say no more. What happened there?
Heroism, he said. Cassius gives me more credit than I deserve. The days on the Giant's Plain were dark days, and the deeds performed darker still.
I have a question for you, Immoen. You have the taint of Bhaal within you. Does this mean that you will turn into the Slayer as well?
I certainly hope not. I've been thinking more and more lately about that myself, though.
Minsk, why don't you tell me a little about Rashomon? You've talked about it before, but never described it, and I've never heard anyone else mention it at all.
This is because Rashomon is a very far ways away. Once Boo kept track for me of the number of steps I have taken since beginning my Dajema, but Boo has since forgotten. Aeri, Boo has been mulling over a question for you. Never have I seen a hamster concentrate so. He has been so very quiet. I thought perhaps I rolled over on him last night, which caused me great concern.
If Boo wishes to ask me a question, Minsk, then he should feel free to do so.
Aeri, do you remember anything about your home?
Dale? Oh, a little bit. I remember my mother mostly. I remember missing it so much in the circus that my heart ached. Налия, I've noticed that you've been very quiet as of late. Grim, even. Is something wrong?
Just because I don't feel the need to express every thought that crosses my mind, this is supposed to mean something is wrong?
Sernd, don't you miss your old grove? You don't speak of it at all.
Oh, I miss my old grove, Aeri. I once had an odd and strangely colored rash caused by an abishai bush that I had an unfortunate encounter with, and I miss that just as much.
Ah, I come to see why you are so arrogant, Edwin. Magical power can become intoxicating. Even I can admit to feeling its rush when I am casting spells in combat.
You know nothing of power, child. You possess the merest morsel of worth when compared to me.
You seem to be limping, Jan. Have you been hurt recently?
No, lass. I'm not hurt, and the limp is not new. I've had it as long as you've known me. 'Tis a wooden leg, you see.
You know, Aeri, I should confess something to you. You didn't turn out at all like I expected you might.
Oh, if I didn't know you better, Valigar, I think I'd have to take that the wrong way.
Haër-Dali's. Must you insist on plucking away at that blasted instrument?
I must keep it in tune, good sir, lest I strike a sour note with my listeners.
What's that in your gaze, Edwin? You have something to say?
It is nothing. I was just musing on the role of heritage in determining vocation.
You look as if you have something to say to me, Jan. You might as well say it. The sooner we get this over with, the better.
I was just thinking how much you remind me of my cousin Gabber. Ironic name his parents gave him, since he never said a word till the day he died.
I'm curious over something, Immoen. Your sibling saved you from imprisonment and restored your soul. Yet for all this, you have never shown proper gratitude. Why is that?
Proper gratitude? I'd hate to think what your idea of proper gratitude would be, Vikonia.
By the grace of Shah, what is that foul stench? Korgan, could you not have the decency to stand downwind of me?
The only time I stand downwind of a dark elf is when I'm looking to add to my collection of drow ears. But dinna worry, you dark witch. Your time will come.
Minsk, I am finding myself unable to deny your effectiveness in battle.
Boo, was that a compliment?
I feel your eyes roving over me, Tiefling. Do you see something you desire? I find it surprising we have so little to say to one another, Valigar.
I have little to say to anyone usually, and that is by my design.
A moment, Immoen, if you don't mind.
I suppose, Джахейра. What is it you want?
Keldorn? You look pensive. Are you well?
I am well enough, Джахейра, though our circumstance gives me reason to pause.
Well, little Налия, it would seem you have grown quite accustomed to the power you now wield.
Why do you bring this up now, Джахейра? You have that tone in your voice again. So, you're part of that Order of the Radiant Heart, right, Anomen? The paladins and clerics that run around getting outraged at everything?
I find your description bordering on insult, girl. But yes, I am a member of the Order. Why?
So, Valigar, word on the street is that you killed your parents. Is that true? Sounds pretty horrid if you ask me.
You consider this acceptable casual conversation? Just walk up and ask someone if they killed their parents?
Minsk, I want a hamster.
What? Well, an admirable decision, but Boo is not for sale.
Налия, do you intend to go back to your castle once all of this is over?
I don't know. Perhaps. If I do, though, things will have to be different.
Why, hello, Sernd. You're a druid, right? Maybe you can answer a question for me.
I am a druid, yes. And of course, I would be happy to answer any of your questions. Although that mischievous look of yours tells me I'm about to be made fun of. Are you well, Immoen? I trust you would say if you were having any difficulties.
Sernd, what is it? You've been looking at me funny for days now. You look a little down, Edwin. You're not upset, are you?
My mood is no concern of yours, child.
You know, Jan, I was listening to a story you were telling a little earlier. I thought it was quite fascinating.
Indeed? Well, I must say I've never looked at goat cheese quite the same way again. And neither did poor Gilbert, or any of his cats.
Immoen, what? Are you pawing at me yet again? Do you think I do not notice? You are attempting to pickpocket me, aren't you?
Oh, well, no, I just thought...
Valigar, I have no wish to offend you, but I can remain silent no longer. You are a great warrior and a true defender of what is moral and right.
Why should that offend me, Keldorn?
Mazzi, my girl, you are a halfling of most extraordinary courage. I am proud to serve beside you.
Sir Keldorn, I have idolized you since I was a girl. You don't know how much it means to hear you say that.
Sernd, I would like to ask you a question, if I may. You strike me as a good man, yet you refuse to follow the rules of law. I find this paradox quite vexing.
Beauty and nature are not bound by rigid laws, my stalwart friend. You see chaos and confusion as your enemy, but they are part of the natural order. You must learn to embrace them as you have embraced law.
Here, you wingless freak! You better spend some time practicing your spells before the next battle. I won't put up with any more of your screw-ups!
Leave me alone, you brute! I'm in no mood for this today.
I'd be wondering if I might talk to you, Valigar, just to pass the time, you know. Immoen, you're an over-lame excuse for a member of this party, and I'd be tired of exerting myself to protect ye. Next time, I'll let you perish, screaming like a ninny as you does.
The last time I saw you exert yourself over anything was the last slab of pork at an inn. If you could keep up with me with that beer gut of yours, I'd be amazed.
It's been a grand fight, eh, mage? Can you better cap a life than with blood betwixt the toes and the flames of hell itself? Ha ha!
Would someone get this bile-soaked freak away from me?
Ah, Mazzi. We've travelled together, you and I, for such a length of time. You know, it's just a matter of time before we end up together, eh?
Don't be ridiculous. I know of no such thing. Korgin, while I may rue the fact that I even brought the subject up, I feel compelled to ask you something.
Aha! I knew you'd give in to your heart sooner or later. So, what's it to be, lass? A kiss and a tickle now or later? I've a small question for you, lass, if you'll be so kind not to run off on me this time.
I'll promise not to run, Korgin, but if this is just another base attempt at flattery... Goodman Valigar, I must admit something to you. The fact that we continue our travels together has been nothing short of a joy for me.
I gotta admit, Mazzi, that being your squire has been far more pleasant than I thought it'd be. I assumed I was well versed in the fighting arts, but you've taught me a thing or two. Mazzi, you and I are close friends, right? So I hope you won't take this question the wrong way.
To begin with, a warning can't be good. But I trust you, Valigar. Ask your question. Forgive me, Immoen, if I'm being too inquisitive, but I simply must know. Are you feeling any ill effects from the taint on your soul?
Ill effects? What kind of ill effects? Irritableness? Nausea, tone deafness, sudden cravings for pasta in the middle of the night? That sort of thing?
Haэр'Dalis, why are you constantly staring at me? Do you see something strange?
Not strange, my tiny hawk. Amazing. A great actor may play a giant, and though he stands no taller, he seems to tower over his fellows on the stage.
So, Anumen, Boo and I had a question about the lodge you seem to hold above all else.
If by lodge you mean the noble order of the Radiant Heart, I will answer as best I can.
Keldorn. Yet again, Boo and I are in awe with how deeply you plant the boot print of justice on the villainous buttocks we encounter so often.
And as always, Minsk, you have fought with the righteous strength of many knights.
Korgan. Boo tells me that you have been staring at him. I fear your gaze is making him quite angry. You see how his tiny body trembles with the fury?
Ach, the little booger's probably just cold. I'll fire up a pot of boiling water to warm his wee bones, and you just toss him right in. And then it's hamster stew for everyone.
Haэр'Dalis, are you laughing at Boo and I? You are smiling after many of our battles.
Oh, my dear Minsk, you and Boo are wonderful, make no mistake. So chaotic, so unpredictable. Such a fist in the eye of sense and reason.
Minsk, I wanted to take a moment to say something to you.
Boo and I always are having time to speak with our friends. Yes, no, Boo?
I feel your steely gaze upon my neck, Valigar. Does my presence still anger you so much?
I would be lying if I said I was not wary around you, Налия. You have become far greater in the arcane arts than all but a handful of mages who have walked the realms.
Keldorn, tell me, you've served in the Order for a very long time. Do you still truly believe that what they do is relevant? That it's worthwhile?
Of course I believe that is the case. I could not serve if I lacked the faith that that was so. Why do you ask such a thing?
Ow! What was that for, Mazzi? Why did you bump me?
To remind you to keep your eyes on the road ahead. You are far away from here, Налия, and in our current life that can mean death in an instant.
I have a philosophical question for you, Sernd. If you're willing, that is.
A challenge, Налия? Why, certainly. I have nothing against more intellectual pursuits, although I do not claim anything like your own acuity.
Haэр'Dalis, you are a playwright. Maybe you can answer something for me.
Ask, my pretty lark, and I shall do my best to satisfy your burning curiosity.
Like dark clouds before a storm. Chains of duty weigh heavy some days.
Duty, Druid? What would a tree-hugger like you know of the chains of duty? Mucking about in the woods like an animal is not duty, but foolishness.
All this fighting, this conflict, old enemies and new. Strange times, aren't they, Valigar?
I suppose. I don't give it much thought.
You've been on the surface for quite some time now, Викония. Tell me, have you encountered the normal effects of prolonged exposure to the sun experienced by your kind?
Such as an overwhelming desire to crush the skull of over-inquisitive Iblith? Why, yes, the urge comes and goes.
I must say, Mazzi, you are proving to be quite unique among the halflings I've met in my experience.
How do you mean?
My great and noble hound, I sense your spirit is heavy. What troubles the mighty paladin?
Your observation is most astute, my good bard. I am indeed troubled by our current course.
Edwin, you continue to be the most dour of companions. I worry for your humor.
You shall see a great improvement in my disposition when I have left this petty business behind. I believe, Викония, that I have gained a greater respect for your intensity through the course of our journeys.
And I, Edwin, have grown no more appreciative of the sound of your voice since the day I first encountered its nasal whine.
So, Sernd, as a champion of the natural elements of this world, you must also have knowledge of what is unnatural?
To some extent, I must. To know the enemy is to better know how to defeat them.
Out with it, gnome. I see that you are fabricating another of your fanciful lies as you look at me.
Oh, don't get all huffy. It's just that at this angle, you look a lot like my Uncle Agur of the tomes. Anomen, my friend, I realize that I've been less than polite with you in the past, and I wish to apologize.
Verily, you have played me most faults.
Anomen, I've been having such a lovely time, and have thought to share some reflections with you.
Say no more, gnome. Your jibes are meaningless to me. I am a knight, and as such above your pettiness.
You know, Джахейра, in all our travels, your smile has eluded me.
Oh, come now. Certainly I reserve my emotions for matters of great import, but...
So, Keldorn, while we're on the subject of adult diapers, you're getting on in years, aren't you?
What in the blazes are you about, Jan? We were on no such topic.
Corgi, old pal, have I ever told you how much you remind me of my Uncle Uriah Twin Hammers?
Watch your step, gnome. If you make me angry, I'll bury the head of me axe so far up your backside your breath will smell like magic metal. 'Tis been far too long since our last battle. Jan Yarundi windbag. Tell me a story to ward off the boredom. And if you know what's good for ye, it'll be about dwarves.
Ah, finally someone who appreciates my tales. A story about dwarves, eh? Mazzi, dear, have I ever told you about my Aunt Petunia the Ranger?
Yes, Jan, I have already heard that tale, thank you.
Oh, my. I had the strangest dream last night, Minsky. I dreamt a wizard snuck into our camp while we slept and cast a spell that made you and I switch identities.
Such a thing would be a nightmare indeed. Why, Minsk could not even fit into your tiny clothes. I have no wish to walk naked through these strange lands. Boo! Boo! Where are you?
What's the matter, Minsky? Did you lose... lose? Lose something? Налия, my dear, you've been positively morose as of late, probably from studying all those scrolls. You remind me of Golodon, prior to his addiction to poppy seed muffins, of course.
Jan, I'm really not in the mood for any silliness. We're here for a purpose.
If you don't mind me saying so, Sernd, you seem a bit jumpy around me. Do I, unnerve you somehow?
It's not you, personally, though I am concerned with the gadgets you are often fiddling with.
Harry, could I draw upon your bardic prowess to help me with a little poem I'm working on? It's a tribute to our fearless leader.
I truly wish you would call me by my proper name, Jan, but I shall be happy to collaborate with you on such an epic subject.
I see your eyes upon me, cleric. Quit your glares or I'll pluck out your eyes with my sword, I swear.
You could try, abomination. I doubt you would succeed. I merely wonder at how exactly you managed to worm your way into the ranks of this group. You have changed, SAREVOK. Your new outlook is apparent even to me. Only, I wonder if this is not some sort of act to cater to the hopes of our leader.
It is no act, cleric. It is also none of your business. What is this I see? A wingless bird? How fitting that you should flop along with this group, eager to prove your worth.
I have already proven my worth. To everyone as well as myself.
Valigar, you have not yet condemned my presence. Is not my very existence here an affront to you?
Nay, SAREVOK. I'm not troubled by your presence. Should I be?
SAREVOK, may I share a whispered word with you?
Yes, Drow. What is it you want? What is that I smell? A burning rage? Hatred barely controlled? Jahira, your eyes threaten to cut out my heart as I stand.
Walk where you will. My fight with you is over.
What was it like to die, SAREVOK? Seeing as you've been through the experience repeatedly, I can't help but wonder if you've developed some perspective on it.
Do you intend for me to believe that a weakling such as yourself has never needed to be revived by a priest? Bah! I imagine this group has gained a discount at the Temple of Helm for you, dear sister.
I doubt you'll care much for anything I have to say, SAREVOK. But have you considered this new life of yours to be a second chance of sorts?
You are right, Paladin. I care not a whit for anything you have to say. I see you eyeing me, dwarf. Are you looking to test your mettle against mine?
Not just be trying to come to a reckoning about your nature, you walking ghost. SAREVOK! You're a bloody killing machine, you are.
Violence has always come easily to me. It seems little has changed.
What is it, fiend? Why do you continue to stare at me? Out with it!
Do not presume to order me about, small one. A fighter's skill you may have, but it is still contained within the form of nothing but a mouse. So, SAREVOK, if that is your real name, what do you remember of our previous battles, What are you getting at, Ranger? I remember you well enough.
Ranger, turn your rodent's gaze another direction. I will not be scrutinized as though by some ridiculous divining rod.
Boo is an uncanny judge of character, but you give him trouble.
Keep your eyes off me, SAREVOK. I don't know what you are, but I don't want you near me.
Ah, so the sorceress can sense the difference in me, can she? Do I alarm you, girl? I have had enough of your constant flinching, Druid. Do you have something to say to me or not?
I apologize, SAREVOK. I know that there are reasons for your presence amongst us, but you seem so unnatural to me that I cannot help but be repelled.
Your sideways glances begin to annoy me, Bard. Say your piece or drag your eyes elsewhere.
Forgive this sparrow's curiosity, my fierce hound, but my eyes are drawn of their own accord. You have walked where every mortal must eventually go, though precious few return as you have.
What is it, mage? You spare no opportunity to examine me, and I would know why.
I do not like walking with the enemy. I can barely stand keeping my allies so close, and yet here I am consorting with you.
You know, Binky, I've been considering this plan of yours that you had with the Iron Throne and all that. Interesting ideas, but flawed.
Binky? You had best not be addressing me, gnome.
I've been thinking, Gnome, about a certain trading deal my stepfather made several years ago.
Your stepfather, eh? Was he a megalomaniac as well? Must have been quite a merchant. Was he into crate building, perchance? Everywhere I look, I see crates. Business must be lucrative.